On today's Visual Studio Toolbox, we're going to see how easy it is for Visual Studio users to adopt Git and GitHub for all your source control needs. Hi, welcome to Visual Studio Toolbox. I'm your host, Robert Green, and joining me today are Sachin and Samit. Hey, guys.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking about source control, which on the face of it seems like a pretty dry topic, but we're going to be talking about using Git and GitHub to do your source control, and how well integrated it is into Visual Studio, and how easy it is to do your source control in Git. So it actually winds up being a pretty exciting topic.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of interest in it.
Yeah, Git and GitHub are absolutely exciting stuff to talk about. And today we are going to learn about how easy it is for GitHub users to start using GitHub and safely bring the open source workflows within their companies. So before we begin and teach about how to do that, let's step back and just say why. Why should I move my source code management to Git and GitHub in particular?
I know that's a great question. You always start with why. Why do you have to care about something? Git is a modern version control system. That has won the hearts and minds of developers worldwide. It has become the leading choice for many teams, and it's the number one version control system out there in the industry. There are several factors that contribute to the success of Git. It's free, it's open, it's lightweight, and it's distributed. But a top factor for the quick success of Git, I would say, is the GitHub. GitHub provides free repositories for open source public projects. We have about 100 million repositories with 33 million developers actively contributing on GitHub. It also provides GitHub Enterprise for organizations that demand security, compliance, and more deployment controls.
Cool.
Wow, so GitHub Enterprise, are they public repos or are they private repos?
They are private repos. When you want to bring that GitHub, the open source development, back into your organizations, inside the firewall, that's GitHub Enterprise for you.
Awesome, and those numbers were impressive. You said 33 million developers, right, Sachin?
That is correct.
And 100 million, so that's on average 3, so I'm above average. That's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sachin, how exactly is Git different from, say, Subversion or TFVC?
Yeah, so unlike TFVC or Subversion, Git is a distributed version control system. So what that means is, the changes, the historical data is not stored on a central server, but every developer gets a copy of the repository downloaded onto their machines. So that means you can do all your version controlling within your local repository. You could do that even when you're offline. Right, and when you come back online, when you get connection to the server, you can push all those changes.
And it's a lot faster too.
That is right. Right. So this is completely different from central version control system, where every developer has to be connected and to the central server.
That's awesome. Yeah, but then if I'm new to Git, will there be a steep learning curve?
That's a good question. GitHub provides several options for you, like GitHub Desktop and GUI that makes it easy. But having said that, if you are completely new to the distributed version control system model, there could be a learning curve. But thanks to Visual Studio, we make it so easy for our Visual Studio users. We have a GitHub extension that makes it so easy for developers to connect and download and work with GitHub.
Yeah, like most things, there's a command language you can use. You can go into the command window and type Git commands, which is not a bad way to learn it the first couple times, like push, pull. You get to learn what those mean. But pretty quickly, a lot of people, me included, get tired of typing, and we just want it integrated into Visual Studio and let Visual Studio do all the work. Same thing with Azure Portal, right? You can do everything in the portal. Not a bad idea to play around with the CLI and the commands, but eventually you might want to just head back into Visual Studio and let it do.
Like me, once you get familiar, you like to use the CLIs, and that's much faster.
Also, you don't want to toggle between too many applications and windows. You want to work from one place. And for a Visual Studio user, of course, that one place is Visual Studio.
Yeah. So you want to show us?
Oh yeah, sure. So let me get to my machine here. So as you can see, I have Visual Studio 2019 installed on my machine.
Brand new.
So this
Visual
is the
Studio
latest.
2019. Yep.
Just released a few weeks back. So what you see is right on the startup page. We have an option for you to connect and download and work with GitHub. That's because we have this extension that comes with the installer. So you can install it, when you install Visual Studio 2019, or if you are like, if you haven't upgraded to 2019 yet, you are a 2015 or a 2017 user, you can go to the Visual Studio Marketplace and download that extension and install it.
Right.
Once you have it installed, you can connect to GitHub from here. But I'm going to start from, from the scratch. I'm going to show you how to, put a project into GitHub first. So let me open up a project that's on my local machine here. So I'm opening up this Parts Unlimited project. And this is not yet on any version control
man.
system.
I'm telling you, it's making a huge comeback.
Absolutely.
Mickey Doucette was on the last show. He was using Parts Unlimited. You guys are using it. It's a old
I'm
sample.
a big fan of Gene Kim, and I have read his Phoenix
It's
project.
a Parts
many
Unlimited
times.
renaissance here on Toolbox.
So let me open up my project here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this into a version control system. So here, as you can see, and as you can expect from Visual Studio, you have options. So I'm going to add this, and you will notice from the output window, a new Git repository is created by Visual Studio. So this is a local Git repository. Right. So now a version control is created. Now I can start making changes. I can do the equivalence of checking my code. And when I'm ready, I can push this to my GitHub. So,
So the key there is this is now under source control using Git, which is basically the source control plumbing. And then you could just use Git locally. You don't have to use GitHub. You don't have to use the other places that support Git, like Azure DevOps, and there's others. So again, getting back to one of the benefits of Git is because